Every natural transition presents an opportunity for innovation. That's why this episode of Leadership 101 is about encouraging you to build a regular rhythm into your life to pause, reflect, and innovate. Let me ask you to consider, when was the last time you took some pre-planned, extended time to stop and think? How often do you pause to take a big picture view of your youth or children's ministry, to reflect on your practice and to consider how you might innovate to make it better? And how regularly do you take time out of your usual routine to create space for God to speak to you? If your answer is not often, or I'm too busy for that, then you could be in the danger zone where bad things start to happen. Let me tell you about some of those dangers. Danger one is that we begin to lead out of what Pete Scazzaro calls a spiritual deficit. When you don't have enough time with God to sustain your doing for God, you begin to operate out of this spiritual deficit where you're giving out more than you're taking in. And this results in a loss of joy, a diminishing passion, a lack of ideas, which leads to frustration and stress and cynicism and apathy, and even in extreme cases, to burnout. But guys, you know what? The primary thing that we pass on to our children and young people is who we are, and we cannot give what we do not possess. The second danger is a lack of revelation. If we're not taking time to pause and reflect, we are robbing the young people we lead of the thing that they need the most from us, which is revelation from Jesus. We become like the blind leading the blind, and inevitably we end up in a pit. You know, don't you, that God doesn't speak in the busyness, he speaks in the stillness. Not in the noise, but in the whisper. So let me ask you to consider, are you in danger of making plans for God without actually listening to God? Because there simply is no shortcut to hearing from God that bypasses time in his presence. Danger three is that we become busy but not fruitful. In other words, we end up filling our time with good ideas and missing out on God ideas. We become busy but not fruitful, and friends, make no mistake, busyness and fruitfulness are not the same thing. Busyness comes from a multiplying of activity, but fruitfulness comes from being connected to the vine. Danger four is that we plateau. We kind of just carry on doing what we've always done just because we've always done it, but what if what we've always done is no longer the best way to do it? To paraphrase Andy Stanley, experience doesn't make you better, evaluated experience does. And without the time to pause, reflect, and innovate, we cease to get better and our ministries plateau. But there is some good news, that with a bit of intentionality and discipline, you can avoid that danger zone and things could look very, very different for you. And that's why I want to encourage you to find a new annual, monthly, weekly, and daily rhythm, creating fresh spaces to reflect, to pause, and to innovate. What does that look like? Well, let's take them one by one. First, annually. You know, at the start of each year, I'm intentional about taking 2 full days away from the regular routines and locations, and most importantly, technologies of life. This is a time where I shut down my email account and make extended time to pray, to walk, to study, to think, to dream, and to plan. And you know, I've found this to be an invaluable practice that sets me up for the year to come. It enables me to attack the year with a renewed energy and with fresh ideas. Because a change of pace plus a change of place equals a change of perspective. What about a monthly rhythm? Well, I want to encourage everybody who's watching to consider building a monthly rhythm of fasting into your schedule. A day a month to give up food, or if that isn't possible for you for health reasons, something else like technology, for example. and utilize the times that you would normally be eating or engaging in those other activities to pray. Fasting is often forgotten spiritual discipline, but we would do well to remember that Jesus said, when you fast, not if you fast. Fasting should be an integral part of our discipleship, not an optional add-on for extra credit. So that's a monthly rhythm. What about a weekly rhythm? I've tried to build into my schedule a couple of hours each week to hit a coffee shop with my journal and to pause, to reflect, to innovate. And this allows me to review what we're doing at Limitless from a different angle. And I can honestly say that out of those times have come some of my best ideas and biggest dreams. Though I must confess that it's easy to let that space in my week go for something more urgent. But let's not allow what is most immediate deter us from what is most important. And finally, a daily rhythm. The daily pause, I think, should be less analytical and more devotional. Friends, make no mistake, the single most important thing that you will do today is to spend some time with Jesus. And the same goes for tomorrow. When we regularly stop and pray and open up our Bibles not to prepare our next session, we open ourselves up to the renewing work of the Holy Spirit in our lives. We are stronger in our battles against sin. We're fresher in our revelation. We're more sensitive to the leadings of the Spirit. Our faith seems deeper, our ideas are fresher, our courage is greater, our leadership is stronger, and our passion is more contagious. I honestly believe that the best gift that you can give to your children and young people is a fully fired up you. So if you don't have a strategic, intentional, and regular discipline of taking time to pause, reflect, and innovate, then shut down your YouTube app, open up your calendar app, and get an annual, monthly, weekly and daily rhythm into your schedule today. I am totally confident that this practice will transform your life and transform your youth and children's ministry in the months and years to come. Finally, as we finish, let me thank you for all you're doing to serve children and young people where you are. I cannot conceive of anything more significant that you could give your life to than passing on the gospel to the next generation. So keep going and don't give up, because what you are doing is important.